Okay.
So yeah, Andrew is gonna tell us a little bit about cryptocurrency. We've got a few people sitting here at the co-work and Mr. Griggs online. And yeah, so my experience with cryptocurrency is absolutely zip. So I'm looking forward to learning a little bit about this. And anybody else want to jump in on what your experience with crypto is?
Yeah, I'm a software engineer and I know a lot about the basics of kind of what it's all about, but not any sort of in-depth information. But I have never had a really professional reason to learn it, but I know Greg has done a talk on it as well and is pretty interested in it. So I have some more experience.
Do you have any crypto? No.
I don't. Ethereum at one point lost about $1,000 on it, sold it, it was plummeting. So I was a little late, I think it was 2 years too late, the cryptocurrency game. I was 2 years too late to the crypto game and I lost a good amount of money and haven't dabbled with it.
Yeah, Andrew, I think similar to you, I came at it from the perspective of wanting to learn more. So we gave a talk on our program last year, on remote year, about cryptocurrency. And I came in as a beginner, but I partnered up with somebody who works in the industry and ended up just like learning a ton. I think the best way to learn is by teaching sometimes. And since then, I've been doing a little bit of investing in Bitcoin and Ethereum. Obviously, it's taken quite a hit recently, but my personal position is that as the Fed rolls out the quantitative easing and printing funny money, that Bitcoin's really going to prove itself as a true market that's not influenced and remains somewhat pure as people look to put cash back into the market. So I think this is a really unique time for Bitcoin to kind of show its true colors.
Yeah, fun stuff. So I think you'll be familiar with a lot of the stuff I talk about. Anybody else got some input or anything? Or is that, I can't see exactly who's in the rooms. I'll need some eyes and ears.
Yep, Emily does. Hold on a second. Yeah?
Oh, I know nothing.
Great. That's what I like to hear.
I told you that you don't have to know everything there is to know, that you know more than some, and you obviously know more than me, so there you go.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, we've all been totally new. It's super confusing. Hopefully, I won't lose you too much during the presentation here.
I'm ready for you
Actually,
to take it.
How about Andrew Griggs? I don't think you actually mentioned what you're into with cryptocurrency. So.
I unfortunately didn't buy Bitcoin when it was $6.80 a piece, but I did buy 5 of them when it was $680 a piece. So I'm not a Bitcoin millionaire, but I do have a little investment. And I'm just holding on to it till, as Warren Buffett says, until forever, hoping that someday it's going to really soar.
Yeah, hodl on for dear life, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it'll buy my maybe it'll buy me a Tesla someday.
What is it?
Yeah.
Andrew, do you know?
Pardon?
Did you say something, Candy?
Do you know what it's at right now?
Oh, Bitcoin?
I don't know exactly.
Last time I checked, it was like 5,600. It's taken kind of a hit. Let me see. It's given it to me in Lari. If I go to US dollar, looks like it's 6,000 right now. So it's come up a little bit since last time I checked. That is great. But yeah, if you guys are interested in the price aspect of it, it's a bad time to look because it was floating around 10K for most of February. But since then, it's dropped down to a low of like 5,000-ish post-corona scare. And it's hovering around there right now, 5,000 to 6,000.
I'm actually going to put everyone on mute and let you, unless you want me to leave it open.
Yep, sounds good. Mute away.
Oh, wait, I just muted you.
Don't mute me. I will not be silenced. All right. So in that case, I'm just going to go ahead and pull up my PowerPoint thing. Let's see, PowerPoint. There it is. So let me go ahead and full screen this. There should be some sound coming through all your devices right about now. So let me know if you can't hear this.
In 350 BCE, Aristotle defined sound money as being durable, transferable, divisible, scarce, recognizable,
Guilfoyle?
and fungible.
Guilfoyle.
What?
Can we skip ahead 2,400 years? I mean, I know what cryptocurrency is.
Richard, a lot of work went into this presentation.
Okay.
Fine. But you're missing out on a lot of wisdom here. Why don't you tell me what you know about Bitcoin as a jumping off point?
Okay, sure. Well, I'm pretty sure it was founded by a Japanese guy.
Or guys, or girls, going by the name Satoshi Nakamoto in 2008. True identity still unknown.
Okay, look, every day I read an article about how we're in a Bitcoin bubble.
And who is writing those articles? I don't want to say the establishment, but is it possible that Warren Buffett called Bitcoin a pyramid scheme because he has 92 billion conventional dollars to protect? Let's say he's right. Let's say Bitcoin dies. So what? MySpace, Friendster, they both died. But they paved the way for other social media tripe like Facebook and Twitter to completely overrun the planet. Crypto is out there, and it's not going away.
It just feels sketchy.
In the same way that a new internet is sketchy, Richard? What is?
Well, at this point, they start talking about their actual tech company's project. But that's a fairly good introduction to the world of cryptocurrency and the nerds who like to explain it. Has anyone seen this show before? Is anyone familiar?
Unmuted.
Actually,
Sorry, we were muted.
Yeah, it's a great show.
I love it.
3 people watching it.
yeah, it's a good one. And they actually do end up kind of following through with that. It's a whole story. Actually, the presentation that he gives right there, believe it or not, the thing he was clicking through on the TV is a real presentation. And I happen to have it somewhere here. Where is it? Oh gosh.
Presentation and show us their presentation. Should we just
So yeah, I totally phoned this in and just went with their PDF. No, I'm kidding. I have my own PDF. But if anyone's interested, you can totally find this online. It's all of Guilfoyle's, all of that character's interesting insights into money through the ages, early forms of currency, Marco Polo, tobacco.
when you get a chance before we end the meeting, do you want to throw the link into the group chat?
Yes, I am going to toss the link up into the group chat. I'll probably put it on the Facebook group as well. If you're interested, there's a lot of random stuff in here. Obviously, it was just made for the bit of clicking through on the TV show, but there's some good stuff in here, especially if you're interested in the more technical parts of it. There is this visualization of what a blockchain actually looks like. And this is something I'm about to get into and explain a little bit. But before I do, does anybody have, actually, yeah, you just go ahead and raise your hand or check in if you have a decent idea of what a blockchain is / what a blockchain looks like. Can I?
Two out of 5 of us here.
All right, about 2 out of 5 people. So hopefully I won't lose too many people if I start explaining a little bit about what it is. So this is what loses a lot of people with blockchain technology and cryptocurrency in general, is it seems just kind of like this ethereal thing where there's digital technology making money. The best way to probably look at it is imagine a spreadsheet, because blockchain is a type of technology called a distributed ledger technology. And the ledger here is the spreadsheet. The distributed part means that the spreadsheet is being stored on many different computers all over the world. Essentially, these copies all have to be in agreement with each other at any given time. So if one person makes a change to their spreadsheet, it won't just propagate to the entire network. There have to be a lot of people checking the spreadsheet to make sure that everything is kosher, that all the transactions on the spreadsheet are still legitimate. On this spreadsheet, the essential function is you can only add rows. And in each row, actually I have an actual spreadsheet example. So let me go ahead and share the spreadsheet example.
That's coming up like super blurry and unreadable.
Oh, really? You can't see the presentation very well?
The text on it is all super blurry.
That's not great.
Yeah, even on the laptop.
Remove their faces and just.
I don't know. Oh, wait, maybe. Ah.
Yeah, maybe if you right click on the right hand side, you can like hide who's being shown.
Sorry, give me just a second.
View option.
Yeah, take your time. It'll definitely be important to have the details because there's a lot of little words in there.
Yeah, but I think we're missing part of the screen.
Fit to window, is it? No, but that's how when it's small. I think you just need to figure out how to hide the people on the right hand side, and then we'll get the whole.
I have those two options.
I think you can press the little minimize key on the left side of that vertical bar. If you hover over it, it should say hide thumbnail.
Right here.
Yeah, that just does the. I'm sorry, give me just a second.
Yeah, take your time. I'm not in a special hurry.
Oops.
Go back to.
I think I just stopped your screen share.
No worries. Want me to share it again so you can check the quality?
Go back to where you were.
View options.
See where it says side by side mode and the check mark. Uncheck. There we go.
Okay, now we can't see you, but we can see your screen and actually read it, I think.
Oh, fantastic. So all these rows should be showing up and stuff. You should see a bunch of Alice and Bobs. Yeah, is that what's coming up for you guys? Are you seeing a spreadsheet with Alice and Bob on it?
Yes.
Fantastic. So this is not really a blockchain, but it's kind of a visualization of what it looks like. Like if you were to open it up and print it out, this is kind of what you would see on it. You have a set of transactions, and every row on the blockchain is, if it's a cryptocurrency, it's somebody sending money to someone else. In this case, we have the sender, who's Alice. The receiver is Bob. The amount that Alice is sending is 2. So we have the sender's old balance. Alice had 3, we'll call them bitcoins. Alice has 3 bitcoins. She sent 2, so it updates and says Alice's new balance is going to be 1. So any future transactions, it'll be able to check and see, oh, Alice has 1 bitcoin. The receiver's old balance was 0, that's Bob. So now Bob has 2 bitcoins. And if Bob wants to send some money back, then he becomes the sender, Alice becomes the receiver, and it updates the balances for both people. And here's the interesting part, is every row comes with its own ID. So the ID for this transaction, 0y41, that is going to be part of the next row. So that means if somebody for some reason wants to take out this transaction, maybe kind of just delete the whole row. Maybe I can't, I can probably just hide the whole row. My Excel skills are a little rusty. Either way, let's say somebody wants to delete this entire row of transactions. Now we got a problem, because in this row, the ID of last block that is now OSA3. And OSA3 is not 0Y41. Sorry, these are both zeros. SA3 is not 0Y41. So once we get to this block, we start realizing, hey, this middle block is missing. What's going on there? So all the blocks have to be attached to each other in sequence. You can't mess with the blocks. If you try to take them out of order, if you delete one, the whole thing will just be obvious. It'll be obvious that something is missing. That is what gives the blockchain kind of its strength. Because if the blocks are all tied together, you can't have people messing with them. And if people can't mess with them, people can't change the transaction IDs, people can't double spend, people can't just print themselves new money, which is a concern people often have with these currencies. So that's kind of a really oversimplified way of looking at it, but it's essentially just a list of who has what money and who is giving money to who at any given time. That is essentially just a blockchain right there.
I've got a really kind of probably stupid question.
Definitely not.
So you hear the word blockchain a lot, and so, but blockchain doesn't necessarily always involve cryptocurrency, right?
Not at all. There's tons of others.
Okay, so I guess in my head, I've always associated blockchain with cryptocurrency, but that's not necessarily the case. You can use a blockchain, because I saw an article earlier today, something about Georgia is the first country in the world to use blockchain for their educational something or another, like the certificate tracking or I don't know, something. And I'm like, but wait a minute, what does that have to do with cryptocurrency? And it doesn't, right?
It does not, no. Like that's, you wouldn't be sending and receiving money, you wouldn't be doing transactions in the same way at all. If it's educational credentials, what they're probably doing is using cryptographic signatures to authenticate these credentials. So in that case, we could say, let's say there's a university, there's a student, the university is Alice University, the student is still Bob. We could say the credential would be a, I don't know, we could say blockchain certification. So there's a blockchain certification. We don't necessarily need this. We can just delete that whole thing. We can just add a field here that says credential owned, and we can say true. And then that can all be, actually no, this part we should make it to a signature because this is the receiver here. So we could say student has credential, make it true. And then the important part here would be we would need to have the university's signature. So this would be something that they could only generate with their specific cryptographic key. And this gets into a lot more other complicated stuff, more than I'm going to cover actually. But they'll probably have some kind of secret code that they can run through a program, and that program will generate some random hash of whatever, a bunch of letters and numbers and random crap. And this key will act as a proof that the university issued the certificate, because no one else could issue this key. No one else can decode it because the university has the key to decode this. So that's probably what it is.
Okay, so I know this is totally, so I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you again. I'm horrible about that. I know this is totally off of the actual cryptocurrency issue, but is it that signature that makes blockchain so secure, or is there a different element that makes it secure?
It's part of what makes it super secure, because one of the biggest parts of blockchain, and actually the part I'll explain right about now, is cryptographic hashing. Let me go ahead and reshare my presentation here, and we'll move on to that bit of it. Blockchain basics. Let me go ahead and maximize that. So cryptographic hashing is kind of what we're leading into here. And that is a one-way encoding. It's a mathematical algorithm that if you put some data into it, if you put a string of letters and numbers into this hashing algorithm, it'll spit out a unique combination of other letters and numbers. Every sequence of letters and numbers has its own hash, basically. There's a very small chance that two sequences will ever come apart with the same hash. And that's kind of hard to visualize, so instead of making you visualize it, I will just actually show you, and I'll send you a link as well. Let's go ahead and open up my browser here. That is something different. There we go. So I'm going to put this link in the chat. And you can play around with this a little bit because I feel like hands-on is the best way to get used to something. There's the chat. Okay. So this is just a hash generator. So let's say we want to just write, yeah, like this sample one right here. This is a string. So this is a string. It'll come up with this hash right here. 41F at the beginning, E74 at the end, all those numbers in the middle. That's generated by running this string through the hashing algorithm, the MD5 in this case. MD5 is not a secure algorithm, it's just easy to demonstrate with. If we hit the generate button, nothing changes because the same string will always generate the same hash. Let's change one thing. Let's add an exclamation point. So keep your eye on the hash. We only added one punctuation mark, and now the entire hash is different. Everything changed. And toggle, actually we can't really toggle. It doesn't like that at all. All right, so we can't go back and forth with that. But the key here is that if you change even one part of the text that is hashed, the entire hash will also change. And why is that important for blockchain? Why is this weird mathy thing something that I'm talking about all of a sudden? Let's see, actually, this is going to be useless for the time being. I actually stole a Google sheet from a person who spent a lot of time doing something cool with it so I can show you guys.
Kudos
cool
to you for your honesty about theft.
He's cool if I steal it. He's actually he encourages it. So here's the reason I had to steal it is because he did some custom work on it to set it up with the hashing algorithm, and I didn't want to do that. Here it is. So essentially what he's done is he's provided a bunch of inputs, and he is showing you the outputs right here. So these are the MD5 hashes. So an example here is Bitcoin is the future with a period. That's this hash. Take away the period, it becomes this hash. And we can see this updating live. If I go ahead and take away the period here, it'll recalculate. Now the hash is the same. So at this point, it's a good time to ask questions if anybody's confused about hashes or if you have comments on something I missed. Anybody want to pick my brain or just tell me if something's not clear? All good? We got one? All good, fantastic. Okay, so this is hashing, and here's how this connects to Bitcoin. So at this point, we're going into the structure of a block. And if you remember this spreadsheet I showed you, this is kind of like one of those rows on a spreadsheet. You basically add these together to make the blockchain. So this is the basic structure of what a Bitcoin block might look like. It'll show you maybe the number of the block. And inside each block, there's actually multiple transactions. So each block will store maybe 500-ish. In the Bitcoin blockchain, it would be about 500 different transactions. So it's kind of like a spreadsheet within a spreadsheet. You have your from, your to, you have your amount. And the important part here is the metadata. So here it's showing you the previous hash, the timestamp, and the junk. So the junk is interesting. This is kind of unnecessary to our conversation. Oh gosh, I changed it. Okay, so there's an interesting example right there. So if I change anything inside the block, like let's say I want to change ABC1234 to ABC123, the whole freaking hash changes. Everything's different. You cannot mess with any of the data in here. The junk signature is interesting for mining. We don't really need to get into mining too much right now, but essentially the miners are trying to guess what this is. The miners want to use their computers to generate random junk values and see which one is a hit. That's how you mine cryptocurrency or Bitcoin specifically. So moving from there to here, this is where it all starts to come together a little more. You have multiple blocks inside the blockchain. Each block contains a bunch of transactions from different people to and from. And then the metadata is kind of the magic sauce here, because they all contain previous hashes. Oh gosh, I changed something. There we go. So it's that easy. If you change one little thing, everything breaks.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So all of this that you're showing us is kind of what goes on behind the scenes, right? I don't have to actually, if I was going to deal with cryptocurrency, I don't have to actually have a spreadsheet that does all this, right?
You need zero knowledge of this to actually use cryptocurrency, but it kind of helps get over the whole it's magic money issue.
I get it. And this is great information. I didn't know if I needed to know how to put this together.
Nope, not a bit. Not at all.
Great. The theory behind it, right?
Yeah, the theory.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So yeah, the nice thing about it is that Bitcoin, it is coming out of thin air in some respects, but the security behind it is pretty real, and this kind of lets you know if anybody tries to mess with it, it's auditable. It's something you can go back and check. You change one value, and then the hash of this block changes. And then because the hash of this block changes, all the subsequent hashes are also going to change. And I actually spotted a little bit of an issue here, which is that this hash is actually referencing a previous block. So technically, this hash should not be changing. All right, so I'm going to copy that. Can I copy it without it being a reference to B14? Ah, yeah, there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to delete this. I'm going to put that in there. This will make it a little more clear. So now this is just plain text. So when this block number 6 is created, it's going to store this hash value. So now this block always knows, hey, the hash of the previous block should be 0533 blah, blah, blah. But it's still referencing B14. It should not be doing that. Is that right? Yeah, there we go. So now I'm going to change a value. I'm going to say, hey, you know what? Dan didn't give Satoshi 99. Dan gave Satoshi 200 because I want to get more. And now the thing that's happened is the hash of this block and the previous hash of this block don't agree with each other. So because the hashes don't agree, it's pretty clear that there's a problem with the blockchain. It's clear that some of these transactions are going wonky, which is a good heads up to the people who are running the blockchain, or rather the computers who are running the blockchain, that something's wrong and it needs to be fixed. That's essentially the mechanic. It's oversimplified, but the mechanic behind it is that if you change something, it's instantly and clearly obvious that something has been changed, and you can go back, or you can not let that transaction through in the first place. So that's kind of the general overview of the techie theory behind the blockchain. Like Candy said, it's not going to be necessary for you if you just want to get into cryptocurrency and start using it. But the how and the what and the visualization of what's actually happening when you're doing this stuff, it's kind of helpful. And that's kind of part 1. If anybody has any questions about what's up here, now's the time.
already asked my question.
Yeah, participation. I love it. I think,
What do people do? Like, what happens when the people running the blockchain realize it's been corrupted, or what? Like, did you mention that? I'm sorry.
No, he hasn't gotten there yet.
Okay. If you are getting there, then feel free to ignore me and continue your presentation. But I'm just curious, like, at that point when there's a break, I guess is what it's called. Like, what would happen?
Decentralized.
all right. So yeah, I actually wasn't planning on getting into that super much, but the basic idea behind it is, if something happens like that, if someone uses their copy of the spreadsheet and they change part of their copy of the spreadsheet, there's the first thing they have to do is they have to calculate what their change did to every subsequent block. So because they changed one piece, everything else in the future is going to change. Actually, am I still sharing the Brave browser? Can you still see the spreadsheet?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So this is actually missing something here, but if I undo this change I did, this will give you a good idea of what happens. There's a ripple effect. So in this case, it's also recalculating the previous hash, which it more or less shouldn't be doing, but we'll accept it. So because I changed one thing here, this changed, this changed, this changed, and that would keep going for every subsequent block. So if you decide to change block number 5, then you also have to calculate the correct value for block number 6 and for block number 7. The first defense is it takes a lot of computing power to recalculate all these values. So it actually is not cheap to change part of the blockchain, depending on what you're changing or you're changing it. The other thing that prevents it from happening is there are computers running around the world that are verifying these new data entries. So you have one spreadsheet, just let's say 99 other spreadsheets around the world. You changed yours, and you're trying to get every other computer to say, yeah, that spreadsheet is cool. We agree with it. But the problem is, none of them have heard anything about this change that you just made. So all these other computers, the 99 others, have a different version of the blockchain than you do. So when you upload your version of it, if you try to force through your transaction, if the majority of those computers don't agree with you, if they don't think that you have the details correct, then they'll essentially block you. And that's one of the vulnerabilities of blockchain, is because they can, if someone does have the majority of the computing power on the network, if someone owns enough computers that have the spreadsheets on them, they could force through this change. It's called a 51% attack, and it doesn't take exactly 51%, depending on cryptocurrencies and algorithms, but someone can force it through if they have the majority of the computers. It's a majority rule vote kind of thing. So it's not people looking at it usually. A person might look at it if a red flag is raised, but it'll usually just be computers using a consensus model, and the consensus algorithms are themselves fairly complicated. And they get solved in different ways. The most common way for Bitcoin and for a lot of other cryptocurrencies is proof of work. So proof of work essentially means that the computers need to spend a lot of computing power to guess the right numbers to mine the blocks. And guessing the right numbers to mine the blocks is pretty computing power intensive. So the biggest defense they have is if you want to push one of your spreadsheets, one of your transactions, or your version of the blockchain, if you want to make your version of the blockchain into the dominant version, it's going to be pretty tough because you need to have a lot of computing power running all at the same time. But if it was a small blockchain, if there's 10 computers running the blockchain, you can own it with 11. You just use your 11 computers and say, hey, this is it. This is the right blockchain. With the Bitcoin network, there's thousands of computers. So you can't vote your spreadsheet into existence on the Bitcoin blockchain. Size is a real problem here. Is that clear? Did I do a good job explaining that? Yeah. I'm hearing a general agreement, so I'm going to go ahead with that. So let's move back to my presentation thing over here. We're going to get a little less theoretical, which I'm pretty sure a lot of you will appreciate. I have too many windows open. There it is. All right, so we got into hashing. If you want to get a little, if you want to review this, I'm actually going to copy paste this link. This is the guy who made the spreadsheet, and he did a great job just explaining the blockchain fundamentals really clearly. So if you want to go back in there and review kind of what I said, you can check that link in the chat right there. That Medium article is super helpful. Oh yeah, so we have blocks. So the blockchain is literally just a bunch of blocks that have the transaction information of about 500 people. It has data about the other blocks. If you change chains of blocks. So yeah, the reason that it's a chain of blocks is because every block contains information about the previous block. So they're connected. If you change the previous block, everything gets messed up. And there's a little visualization of it right here. I did not make this. This is the Center for Global Development, who ripped it off of The Economist. It's like a long chain of blockchain plagiarism right here. And every block would look a little bit like this. You'd have a block, it has transactions in it. Each transaction has an ID. Each transaction contains the ID of the last transaction, and they go into each other. Actually, this link I have down here, I will also paste that in. And why don't we actually go over to that website, the Blockchain Explorer. So I'm going to go ahead and change my sharing again. So this is moving up from the theoretical into the actual. If I can find my browser, there it is. So let's move over to the Blockchain Explorer and let's check out what's actually happening right now in Bitcoin. So this is what Bitcoin looks like right now. We have 622,198 blocks. This block was mined 10 minutes ago. And if we click through on the hash, we see the ID of the block. This is the hash of the block. We see the number of transactions that are inside the block. So actually this is around 1,500. My 500 mark is a little off. I forgot they changed it. Then there's the Merkle root. There's a lot of like technical stuff in here. Tells you the bits. And here inside the block, you can actually see every transaction that was done. So this is why Bitcoin is not anonymous. Bitcoin is pseudo-anonymous. It's pseudo-anonymous because you don't see this person's name, but you see their Bitcoin address. And if that address is connected to a name anywhere, you can find them. So this transaction also has a hash. If we click through on that, we can get to a little more detail. It says this person with this ID sent 0.317 Bitcoin over to this person right here. That's the recipient. So far it has one confirmation. They got their status, they got the hash. So all the data about every transaction is included in the blockchain. All this stuff is living on computers all over the world. This is being updated live on lots of different hard drives in lots of different places. Bunch of technical stuff here. But you can actually go all the way back. I'm not sure how long this would take. Can I search for just block number 1? Will it take me to block number 1? Let's go to, there we go. So this is the first block ever mined, 2009, 6:54 a.m. And there is, I don't know why it's saying that's Coinbase, because that's definitely not Coinbase. So this theoretically is Satoshi Nakamoto's block that he sent to, he sent it to somebody. But yeah, you can go all the way back, any block, any transaction, it's all written forever on the blockchain. Unless every copy gets deleted, it's still going to be around somewhere. And then moving on to even more practical stuff. Why is it great? Well, blockchain and cryptocurrency mostly are decentralized. They don't have to be, but in their pure form, they're being stored on computers all over the world, not on just one bank's computers. So if you have a server somewhere with a bunch of money on it in a bank, that can theoretically get hacked. People's information can be lost. People's money can be lost. This is decentralized. It's stored everywhere. Your money will never go away as long as there is a computer somewhere that is storing the spreadsheet. A record of your money will exist. It's trustless. People throw around the word trustless. It's not trustless because you have to trust that the code that runs the blockchain is doing its job. And you have to trust that the blockchain is strong enough to resist attacks. It's trustless in the sense that you don't trust an organization. There's not a group of people that are controlling your money or your credentials, your education credentials, your land. Like, for example, Georgia, the country here, they put their land registry on the blockchain. So they have a blockchain that is listing every piece of land in Georgia and every owner in Georgia. Like, everyone who owns a piece of land is recorded there. They have their own blockchain, and that blockchain is also connected to the Bitcoin blockchain. So all the land registries in Georgia are written on the Bitcoin blockchain. So if you ever need to look up who owns a piece of land in Georgia, you'll find it somewhere on the Bitcoin blockchain, which means there can't ever be some guy in the government office who's like, yeah, I'm going to change the owner of that land because he's my buddy. I want to give it to somebody else.
Is the government use of that technology, is that kind of cutting edge? I mean, does that mean that Georgia is like kind of above or ahead of the curve on that?
They're almost definitely one of the first countries in the world to institute a real estate for blockchain in any kind of official sense. I think Dubai also has done it, but I think Georgia.
I find that really from just a understanding Georgia standpoint, because that article that I read earlier today said that they are the very first country to put this educational stuff into a blockchain as well. So it sounds like Georgia is really, as a country, has really embraced this blockchain technology.
Oh, I think they are, yeah. I think it's very in keeping with the anti-corruption movements that they're pushing, because it's hard to corrupt something that's stored on the blockchain. Like, if you mess with it, everybody can see it. There can't just be like one guy high up in the government who's controlling everything. If he changes something, it's out there for everybody to see. Kind of like, you know, how the police here have their glass buildings. It's like that anti-corruption symbolism. Yeah. This is essentially a glass building for every piece of paperwork.
Okay, I'll quit interrupting now.
Yeah, no worries. Interruptions are great. I feel like I'm never sure if I'm going to lose somebody or if I didn't explain something very well. So if either of those is true at any point, interrupt away. Please do.
Oh, and by the way, I'll interrupt really quickly again. I don't know if you noticed, Jay joined us, so she's on the video chat as well.
Oh, great. Hey, Jay. Good to... Actually, I don't see you on the video chat. Oh, there we go. Scroll down. I see you now. All right, so decentralized, sort of, doesn't have to be. Some of them aren't. Trustless, if you trust the technology. Secure as stuff, because you've probably heard about a lot of places getting hacked, like the exchanges, people. Bitcoin itself, cryptocurrency itself, is secure. You are not secure. You're a human, you have a computer, you can be tricked, you can be hacked, your money can be stolen, and with Bitcoin, with cryptocurrency in general, it's kind of tough to have the right security measures. I'll talk about that a little bit in the future, like in the next couple slides. But security is a big problem. The technology is secure, you're probably not secure. It is pseudo-anonymous, like I said. Your name isn't attached to the transactions, but the transactions probably can be traced back to you. If you're going to buy drugs with Bitcoin, reconsider buying drugs with Bitcoin. Buy them with Monero or something else.
Plan.
I know you're all thinking it. I think I'd be a liar if I didn't mention that my first encounter with cryptocurrency was contemplating using it to buy drugs. So I think that's a common thing we all have between us, right? So pseudo-anonymous. If someone wants to find you, they might find you. There are cryptocurrencies that help with that. Like there's techniques, there's ways you can hide yourself better. But if you use like Coinbase or Kraken or some other exchange where you had to enter your real name and your ID to get in there, if you send money from there, then that's like sending it from your bank account. It's like a credit card. It's relatively fast. Like if you've made an international bank transfer, you know it might take a couple hours to a couple days to get money from country A to country B. If you use cryptocurrency to do that, it might take a few minutes to a few hours. It changes depending on the currency and the time. So if the cryptocurrency gets busy, like if Bitcoin or Ethereum has a spike in activity, you might be waiting a pretty long time. You could be waiting hours and hours for your transaction to go through. It has scaling issues is the big problem. A lot of these currencies, they can process 10 to 1,000 transactions per second, which is way under what like MasterCard or Visa can do. MasterCard or Visa might be able to do 26,000. So cryptocurrency isn't a perfect payment solution yet. And then it's also transparent if it's designed to be. Like all of these blockchain things, it is good if it's used correctly. A lot of blockchains, you can see what's going on in there, but if the blockchain is controlled by a bad actor or it's built with bad code, the transparency could be compromised. It's not a guarantee. If a company or a government says, we're putting this on the blockchain, you don't want to be like, oh yeah, that's great. It's going to be just decentralized. It's going to be secure. It's going to be transparent. It doesn't have to be any of those things. It could very easily just be a blockchain that they put on one computer and they say, this is our blockchain. I think there's been many companies that have tried to capitalize on the buzzword of blockchain, and they make something that is totally not up to standards. Why it's not so great? It's getting more user-friendly, but it's definitely not there at all. It's complicated. It's easy to use it insecurely. It's not commonly understood. It's not widely accepted. Actually, yeah, that's the fourth point right here. It's not widely adopted yet. There's a lot of nerds and criminals who are using it. That's the general user base. People who are just fascinated with it, and people who want to use it for drugs or something else. That's a not insignificant part of cryptocurrency at the moment. It's unforgiving. If you send money to the wrong place, you won't be getting it back with a phone call. If you're lucky, you'll know where you sent it and you'll be able to contact them and they send it back to you. That's unlikely. If you make a mistake, it's done. Like your cryptocurrency is probably gone forever. It's also very volatile. Like the ups and downs are super real. If you've been following Bitcoin, you know it's gone from like 0 to 20,000 in like 10 years. And then it has recently gone back down to 4,000 or 5,000. Don't keep your life savings in there. Like the guy at the beginning of the episode said, if Bitcoin dies, there's going to be another one that comes along that does the job better. There's arguably already better currencies than Bitcoin. Like technologically, there's a bunch of currencies that do a better job than Bitcoin. But Bitcoin has the scale right now. They're widely adopted. They have the name recognition. So Bitcoin is what it is for the present time. Any questions about the general virtues and issues with cryptocurrency? All right, let's move on. This is a badly designed slide. I was rushing through this one, but this is just an example of a few of the cryptocurrencies that are out there, the big ones right now, and their pros and cons. You have Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash. There are different cryptocurrencies. There's many different types of Bitcoin. Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash are the two big ones. They're a little bit slower. It's a little more expensive to send a transaction on them. Yeah, you do have to pay a small portion of your Bitcoin to send your Bitcoin. It's not free. And it's only pseudo-anonymous. So you probably don't want it to use it for anything super illegal. Ethereum is the second biggest. You probably heard about that one too. What makes it different is that it's very customizable, extensible, and it can be used actually to run decentralized applications. Bitcoin also can be, but Ethereum's built for that. You can use it to run actual programs that need to write data to the Ethereum blockchain. That would be a totally separate presentation, so I won't go into that too much. Monero is great for privacy. If you want to buy drugs, Monero. Definitely use Monero. It has all these extra things that help it not be tracked back to you. If you use it right, that's a big one. You got to use it right. Monero, straight up, doesn't have those protections. You have to enable that, which takes some research. Litecoin, it's basically Bitcoin, but faster. It's basically the silver to Bitcoin's gold, is what people say. Dogecoin is great because it was a joke cryptocurrency based on a meme. You might recognize it if I bring it up here, which I will. Go ahead and bring up Doge. There we go. So this is it. This is Doge, a Shiba Inu with various English grammar sins being committed all over his face. And Dogecoin was literally made by a guy who wanted to prove that cryptocurrencies were kind of stupid. And people loved it, and now it is super popular. And a lot of people actually use it.
That's hilarious.
I definitely recommend Dogecoin because the best part about Dogecoin is that one Dogecoin always equals one Dogecoin. The Dogecoin is completely stable when compared to the Dogecoin, which is fantastic. And then go ahead.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm still learning how to speak on this thing.
No worries.
Okay, so so with all of these cryptocurrencies coming up, like literally anybody can come up with the cryptocurrency tomorrow. You know, who guarantees which is which cryptocurrency is going to stay, which one is the most stable, which one, you know, with all the choices, it seems overwhelming. There's one I was thinking about investing in Serbia, but they're too new. And honestly, it's taken them like 2 years to go live with their application. So I'm not sure about if I will invest, but you know, how do you know which one, you know, will be around for the long term?
Oh, you got no freaking idea. Like, that's half the problem with these cryptocurrencies. Is like you said, they're fairly easy to. Well, they're not easy to make, but anyone who has the ability can issue them, and they really are not regulated. There's no easy way to audit them that normal people can kind of understand. And a lot of the time they can sound super good without actually doing much. One of the best examples of that is a cryptocurrency called Tron, which is still up there as one of the top cryptocurrencies right now. It's not proven to be a scam, but the white paper was mostly plagiarized from other cryptocurrencies, and they have not really produced a stable use case for the cryptocurrency yet. It got super popular. They raised millions, maybe billions of dollars, I don't know, and they haven't really produced anything yet. It's like number 15 currently in the market. So bad cryptocurrencies can and do make it way up there, and you should be super cautious about investing in anything. The best signals you can look for are transparency. You know, if they're showing you that they have a stable product, if they're opening up the blockchain, if they're open source is super important, then you could maybe trust them a little more. But really what you want to do is you want to find someone who's like a known, stable voice, an expert on cryptocurrencies, and you want to maybe follow what they say a little bit. Don't just follow any old Twitter person because they are shilling coins like mad. Don't believe 90% of people who are talking about cryptocurrency because they are liars and they're trying to pump their coins. So yeah, short answer, you just can't know.
Yeah.
Kind of like
Would you trust a community who is exclusive? Like one who is not open to communicating with others. They only have like their own, basically like a crypto clique.
If you're talking about like a mining pool or like a kind of a club of people who get together and conspire to raise the price and buy and sell cryptocurrency, no. You probably, a mining pool, yes. A mining pool is actually just a bunch of people who are getting together and using their computing power to mine cryptocurrency. That's fine. If it's one of the pump and dump things, like people who are saying, okay, so we're going to buy a bunch of cryptocurrency, we're going to force up the price, and we're going to sell. If they're telling you that, then you're definitely, unless you are personally involved with some of these people, unless you've been in this group for a long time, you're definitely being used and they're going to leave you holding the bag. So
Okay.
don't trust anybody who's not completely transparent and open source about this stuff.
Okay. Now, what I wanted to say 5 minutes ago, when I didn't know how to get the, I didn't know I wasn't able to speak. But would you invest in Bitcoin now? I already have like a tiny bit. I'm nowhere near a Bitcoin actually, but with the market going down the way it is, especially when I got in, it was 11,000. So in my current situation, would I be good to invest now or wait till it goes down more? I think it may go down more, but I question why it's following the stock market.
Yeah, we actually.
So does Bitcoin.
Yeah, I was talking about this with other Andrew Griggs, before the whole thing started, about the whole following the stock market. And my theory is that it's a volatile asset, and people aren't running away from the stock market; they're running away from volatility. So I'm pretty sure that Bitcoin is not yet viewed as a safe reserve asset like the U.S. dollar is yet, which would probably make it a good buy right now. Like, I'm not an investment advisor.
Yeah, you just wait till inflation hits and we can't buy a loaf of bread. What do you think? The UK, the US, Canadians, they're all printing off money. You know, I don't know what, we have to save our people. But where do you think the money's coming from? We're not going to be able to buy bread tomorrow.
Yeah, you've hit upon one of the biggest complaints that most crypto people have, which is fiat currency. So yeah, okay, governments. Let's just say that they can make money, and we believe them, and now this is money. That's great. But Bitcoin, the inflation rate for Bitcoin is interesting because it's predictable and it's stable. Like a certain amount of Bitcoin is issued every period of time. That changes sometimes. The amount of Bitcoin that gets issued goes down as time goes on, but it's predictable. There's no central authority that can change the inflation rate, which makes it, in the long run, probably more stable than the US dollar. But the problem with that is that Bitcoin is a smaller, more volatile market. So yeah. I would never tell anyone, invest all your money in Bitcoin. Don't do that.
No.
It might be a good buy right now, but I'd say keep it to less than 5 or 10% of your investment portfolio. 90% of your portfolio should probably still be stocks and bonds. Don't go all in on Bitcoin. Don't do it. That said, I'm going to buy some Bitcoin probably soon.
Yeah, me too.
If you want a real stable coin, or two real stable coins right here, two options are DAI and TrueUSD. DAI is hitting some hard times right about now. Might be worth looking into. I think they're going to pull through.
DIE?
DAI, sorry.
AI. I was going to say, that's an awesome name for a big.
DAI, right. So yeah, it usually stays around $1 US. And it does so through a super complicated mechanism that I won't explain to you right now, but it's totally decentralized. It's pretty cool. TrueUSD is a little more graspable because what they do is they take $1 and they give you a crypto dollar. So you pay them $1, they give you a crypto dollar. They keep that dollar somewhere in the bank. It's audited. There's people who check that they have that money for real. So if you want to invest in cryptocurrency and you want that cryptocurrency to always be worth $1, go with TrueUSD or DAI. People wonder, like, why would you do that? Why are you investing in cryptocurrency that's worth $1? The answer usually is you're trading other cryptocurrencies and you want to keep your money out of Bitcoin while you're not trading Bitcoin. Or you just want to send money to someone. Like say you want to send money overseas, you want to send dollars, you can send through USD and the value won't change.
Regardless of the exchange rate.
Yeah, regardless of the exchange rate. True USD, 1 TUSD is always worth $1.
Okay.
Same with 1 DAI, usually, but right about now, I think it's worth $1.04, which is super bad. That should not be happening. They're in trouble a little bit, so I'd wait and see what happens with DAI right now.
Okay. Wait and see if they die.
Cardano's pretty good. They're an academic, there are a bunch of universities and PhDs working on that. It's pretty slow. It'll probably take years to come through, but I think it'll be pretty interesting when it does. EOS, it's like Ethereum. Dash is like Bitcoin, but it's faster and more private. There's a million of them. Actually, let me go ahead and show you the cryptocurrency world right here. So there's Dogecoin. If you want to take a gander at the current state of all the cryptocurrencies, you got to check out CoinMarketCap. And this shows you basically every cryptocurrency.
It's kind of like the stock market of cryptocurrency.
Yeah. Shows you the graph, the change, the supply, most importantly, the market cap. So that's the total value of this cryptocurrency out there right now. About $106 billion of Bitcoin exist. About $13 billion of Ethereum, so Bitcoin is leading by a pretty healthy 9x-ish margin. Ripple, that one's pretty high. That's used for international transfers a lot of the time. Tether, okay, so do not mix up True USD and Tether. This is a good warning. If you want a stable coin, if you want a $1 crypto coin, I would personally stay away from Tether. They are sketchy a little bit. They haven't opened up their books. They're not open sourcing their accounting. I'd give them a pass. Instead, scroll down to like number 30. Oh gosh, where is it now? This changes all the freaking time. USD.
By the way, being a little sketch.
Yeah, this is good stuff to know. Bitcoin Cash, totally fine. Bitcoin SV, don't know what's up with it. Litecoin, EOS, fine. Binance Coin, fine. Cardano, Tron, here's the one I was talking about. So this coin is worth $722 million. Parts of it were probably ripped off of other cryptocurrencies, and I don't know what they're doing right now. They're still up there. It's a good example of how a coin that's not great can still stick around because of the hype. You have your Monero, that's your drugs coin right there. And then you can just keep going on.
What do you think about IOTA?
IOTA's fine. It's I wouldn't hold it as like a monetary investment, but it's a good utility kind of coin.
Okay, buy and sell quick.
Probably. I think its glory days might be behind it.
Okay.
If it does have a future, it's going to have a future more as a blockchain application than a cryptocurrency. It's basically made for Internet of Things devices to make microtransactions with each other. So your light bulb could like buy electricity from a nearby solar panel by paying it a few IOTA.
Okay.
I think it's a very interesting idea.
What do you think about, what do you recommend for coins that are used mainly for e-commerce, like e-commerce stores?
Oh, those would definitely be like some of the tops, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, let's see, maybe Monero, Dash, Neo, Nem, Zcash. Those are all good. I mean, if it's being offered as a payment option on an e-commerce portal, it's probably an okay coin.
Okay.
Actually, I'm going to talk about some of the payment gateways in a second here.
Okay, cool.
But if you want to feast your eyes on the ridiculousness of the crypto market, I just hit view all, and here we go. Oh man, we got to load more. It used to just throw them all at you. It used to just give you the entire spreadsheet of all the coins. but we are headed way down. So down here you have your Da Vinci coin. We're getting down to the $1 million market caps. Past this mark, a lot of them are failed coins or scams or coins that are just starting out.
There's what, about 400 actual cryptocurrencies that would be viable?
I'd say less than 400. Like there's definitely not 400 currencies that I would buy. I'd say there's about 50 to 100 cryptocurrencies that have a real business case and a strong team behind them that you should look into as any kind of investment or transacting currency. The rest of them are probably not great. They might have a real world good use case, but a lot of these it's a very young market. So that is the ridiculous world of cryptocurrencies. Feel free to explore. There's some great ones. Actually, I can share some of my favorite ones with you. Definitely my favorite one, if you're not offended by strong language, is, where is it? They used to have a website. Where is their website? Maybe it's gone. They used to have a great fuck token website. It's literally just a cryptocurrency that allows you to give a fuck. Do you have a shortage of fucks to give? Send someone a fuck token. And it's not the swear word, guys. It stands for finally usable crypto karma. Not swearing here. Kid friendly. And back to the presentation. So this list right here, these are cryptocurrencies that I would buy and use. There's others, but these are a bunch of those that I actually have that I like. You don't have to take my word for it. I don't know everything, but they're pretty stable. What you need to get started, I feel like you guys probably have most of this down already. You should have yourself a wallet, an exchange, and good security practices. That's the basics. Wallets hold your keys. Keys are a whole other encryption thing that we won't get into. Essentially, your address, if someone sends money to an address, that's your public key. Whereas your private key, you can compare it to like a password that allows you to access things. If you want to send someone cryptocurrency, you have to enter your private key, and that's how the blockchain knows it's you and that they can send it away and that you can access it and do what you want with it. The practical thing you need to know about this is hot wallets versus cold wallets. A hot wallet is connected to the internet. It's on a website, it's on an exchange, it's on your desktop, it's on the mobile. It's hackable, essentially. If it's connected to the internet, it is hackable. It's not 100% secure. Cold wallets can literally just be your keys on a piece of paper. The best thing about the blockchain is you don't need a device to actually use it to remember where your stuff is. You can write down 2 numbers, public key and private key, on a piece of paper. You should also write down some other stuff, but those are the basics. And using those, you can access your money on the blockchain using any device. So if you have $1 million of Bitcoin, you should probably write down the numbers, put it in a fireproof safe somewhere that it'll never get lost, and just keep it there. Because it can't be stolen if you do that.
Do applications like Coinbase keep your keys stored? Like, are you able to access?
Yeah, so Coinbase and a bunch of other exchanges are interesting because they do have hot wallets that you might use to store your crypto. But your actual crypto assets, I think at least with Coinbase, they're being stored in a form of cold storage. So a lot of the actual public-private keys are being stored in a safe somewhere. So they're written down, they're air-gapped. Coinbase's assets, their core assets, are protected, I believe, by cold storage.
Okay. But what if I wanted to do a transaction over Coinbase and I would need my keys? Would I be able to find them in the application?
Yeah, you can find your keys via Coinbase.
Okay,
Coinbase makes it so that you don't really need your keys. Like the exchanges usually, it feels just like PayPal. You just click some buttons, send the money. You never see your keys. You can find them if you want to, but you don't need them.
Oh, okay.
Where you would need your keys would be if you had like an actual wallet set up. like one of these guys. These are a few of the ones that I would recommend. Electrum, super popular. It's open source. It's a little hard to use. Mycelium, easier to use. Also open source, I believe. Exodus. Exodus is probably the easiest one. If you want a get started crypto wallet, Exodus is great. It's user friendly, looks awesome. It's not open source, which skeeves a lot of crypto people out, but I don't think they're up to anything bad, so using Exodus is probably fine. If you want a nice middle ground, I also like Jax. It is open source and it's pretty easy. I can show you what a wallet looks like here real quick, actually. Just go ahead and share my whole screen. So here, for example, is one of my Exodus wallets. I say one of them. I have multiple accounts, multiple wallets. So you can see I can hold a few different coins in here. I have my Dash, my Ripple, Bitcoin, Basic Attention Token, Ethereum. It gives you a bunch of helpful information about how those have changed. You can see a lot of downward lines right about now. That's not awesome. Oof. But then the magic part is your sending and receiving. So you want to send some cryptocurrency to somebody, this is how you do it. Let's say I want to send some Ripple. So here's my Ripple account. Actually, I don't have a lot of that. Maybe I should send, we'll see if there's a fee for that. So Ripple, that's just a cryptocurrency. Or maybe I'll go with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is more relevant. So I want to send this to somebody. It's going to ask me for an address or for a QR code. So theoretically, I can hold a QR code on my phone up to the camera. It'll scan it. It'll tell me the address. I want to send $5 of Bitcoin, and I need an address. So I'll get that from my other wallet, which is over here. This is my Jax wallet. See, it's a little confusing, a little busy. But I can go here to my Bitcoin. I can hit receive and then copy the address. So this string of letters and numbers right here, this is your public key address. Type it in. And here's the annoying part is it's actually going to cost me 80 cents to send this transaction because Bitcoin is an expensive blockchain to send stuff on. If you want to send money cheaply, Bitcoin is going to charge you. Depending on when it is, like during the height of 2017, people were getting charged like 20 bucks to make transactions. It was bad. It's more reasonable now. So I'm going to send it over to that address I copied and pasted. Success. And now you can actually go ahead and track that transaction in real time. Here's the transaction ID. If I click it, it's going to open up in Firefox. And here's the transaction ID. I actually don't love this block explorer. It's not that easy to read. So let's go back over to this block explorer. This is the transaction I just made. I can go ahead and sort through it. Oh, it copy pasted the wrong thing. So I just want to copy and paste this transaction ID. Let's go ahead and get that. There it is. Search through it. So in real time, here's what's happening to my transaction. It's been created. It's in a block right now. And currently, the system is deciding if my transaction and the block that my transaction is in are okay. Like, did this address already send these Bitcoins? Is this address real? Are these Bitcoins available to be spent? It's unconfirmed. So that means there's computers all around the world right now checking up on my transaction, making sure it's legit. Let's see. So yeah, that's basically all the information that you'd need out of it. And here is the fun part. This is my address. Wait, is this my address?
Save it for later.
Yeah, basically. So you can take a look at all your data here. Oh yeah, this is my actual address. I have sent money to people using this address in the past. Fun, fun. So this is why it's pseudonymous. You can see everything I've done. I'm revealing.
Just really quickly, are all Bitcoin
set up on US dollars, or did you determine that when you bought or in some way?
Yeah, most wallets and exchanges, they'll interpret it for you. So Bitcoin is totally its own thing, but it can be valued in terms of any other currency. So I choose to think in US dollars. I'm just like, look at this Bitcoin right here. This is 0.0087538 Bitcoin. You are not going to be typing that into PayPal every time you want to send somebody something.
Mm-hmm.
So denominating in dollars or euros is just pretty common. You can change the currency as you like. You could even have it denominated in terms of other currencies.
Seeing it in Georgian lari is astronomical.
It's amazing. Makes you feel so good, right?
Yeah.
I'm rich. So those are the two wallets. I'll also give you a quick exchange tour. Here's one of my Coinbase accounts. Coinbase is a great place to get started as an exchange. It doesn't like I think maybe it logged me out. It's all good. Oh gosh, it logged me out. So that's good actually that it's logging me out. Here's my address. And here's how long my password is. That's how wrong my password is. 2, 1. There we go. That should be it. Oh yeah, so here's one of my Coinbase accounts. I say one of all the time because I have multiple wallets, I have multiple exchange accounts. A good lesson is never put all your crypto eggs in one basket. If something goes down, you want to have it all spread out. You want some mobile wallets, some desktop wallets, some exchanges. And the fun part of this is you can use US dollars, you can use euros, I think, to buy and sell Bitcoin here. You can use it for any of these cryptocurrencies. I think they have a few more as well. This is an example of a place not to keep your money. You want to transact it here, that's fine. Probably don't keep it here just in case. It's a third party. They're managing your stuff for you. Not necessarily what you want with crypto. So here you can see some of the crazy stuff that's happened to my portfolio. I started out with about 250 bucks here. Did some transactions, lost some money. Sudden spike. This was a great day. I felt pretty good. But I think I actually tried to sell some during this day and they wouldn't let me because it was too busy. So there's a problem. It's not like you control it all yourself either. Going back to actually, any questions about wallets or exchanges before I move on?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Andrew, can you hear
I'm
me?
here. Yep.
Yeah. So I don't use my Bitcoin to purchase anything. I don't make transactions. I really just bought it as an investment. So I sort of have bought the Coinbase line that they have insurance and they store it offline, as you suggested. And so that's where I've kept it. And I read things where people say, don't leave it on an exchange. But as a long-term traveler, it doesn't make sense for me to have, because any of these little cold wallets you're talking about are like a little thumb drive, aren't they? Some kind of a little device.
Yeah. They'd be thumb drives or pieces of paper.
Yeah. So as a long-term traveler, it's possible that my things could be lost or stolen or could get flooded, I'm just in a lot of different situations. And so it seems to me that Coinbase, leaving it there for my situation, is probably the safest. Does that does that make sense?
I definitely won't tell you not to do that because like if you have less than $10,000 to $50,000 in crypto, I think it's probably okay to leave it on an exchange, or maybe as a percentage of your assets. If it's not that high, leaving it on an exchange is fine. Maybe I would diversify it over several places. I'd maybe put some on Coinbase and some on Kraken.
Yeah, but here's the other part. Here's the other part that makes it difficult, is that my permanent address is in Washington State. And I don't think the other exchanges are licensed to do business in Washington State.
Right. Yeah, the licensing problems are getting real. Regulation is sneaking up on you.
Yeah. So I think Coinbase, last time I checked, and it's actually been 3 or 4 years ago, nobody else, no other exchange operates, would allow me. I tried, there's one called, was it Poloniex or something like that?
Oh, yeah, Poloniex. Yep.
Poloniex. Yeah, and they wouldn't let me set up an account. And I'm not sure if I tried Kraken, but from what I read, it looked like Coinbase was really it.
Yeah, they're the big guys right now. And they are pretty stable. I think they're pretty secure. I personally don't have a huge problem storing some money on them. And yeah, if you want to outsource your security to them, that's probably okay. If you want to like you don't have to have your money in one cold wallet. Like theoretically you can have, it's just a few pieces of data. So you can have a thumb drive that has it. You can have it on some pieces of paper somewhere. You can store like part of your key on, or part of your seed words on a file on one computer and the other part on a file on your phone or something like that. You can have backups for this stuff. That's one of the problems with this, with real crypto security, is it's not easy. It's super annoying, not user friendly yet. If that's too much for you, Coinbase is good.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Coinbase. And the other aspect of this problem is that there was a hard fork, and so there's Bitcoin, I believe it's Bitcoin SV, that Coinbase doesn't trade in. So they sent me a message, this happened, I don't know, a couple years ago or so, that I needed to move it to another place. But I haven't done that. I hope that it's still sitting there. I'm not sure. But I don't know where I could move it to.
Yep, this is a huge example of crypto being user unfriendly. It's just, it's weird. If you don't follow it, if you're not kind of a nerd about it, it's tough to fall, it's easy to fall behind. If you still have the Bitcoin SV there, the answer would be you need to Google Bitcoin SV wallet, and you got to manually transfer from one address to the other address.
But it has to be a wallet. It has to be, well, but the wallet means getting something in the mail, getting a little thumb drive sort of thing in the mail, right?
Oh no, you can download a wallet to your desktop. You can put it on your mobile.
Oh. But it's still connected to the internet then, isn't it?
Yes. So that would be how you get it. It might not be how you want to store it, but that's how you can get it and own it. Depending on how much it is, yeah.
Well, I think that the cryptocurrency world in general is really sort of always going to be second tier until they can make it friendly for people who are not nerds, techno-whiz people.
100%. That's like a lot of people are working on that right now. It's come a long, long way, but it's got much farther to go.
Yeah, a lot farther to go. Okay, well, those are my main points, my main considerations. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for asking. Sure. I mean, those are real things that people are worried about. Just like, I have it. What do I do with it? Where do I put it?
For sure. Yeah. Okay, thanks.
And these desktop mobile wallets are probably a good place to start. If you download these to your desktop or your mobile phone, they'll provide you with a place to store your cryptocurrency that you control. They'll usually walk you through like backup options. So they'll give you a set of like 12-ish words that you need to write down. You can use those words to back up your wallet from anywhere. They're reasonably user-friendly. If you take a few precautions, you won't lose your money on these things. And they're probably more secure than an exchange, especially if you diversify and keep your general desktop free of viruses. A few exchanges, Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, they're pretty big ones. Local Bitcoins is great if you want to trade Bitcoins with someone person to person. You just want to meet up, hand somebody cash and get Bitcoin. This is how the real drug dealers do it. It's a very lucrative business. You can make a high margin by meeting up with sketchy people and trading Bitcoins for cash. Security, don't keep all your eggs in one basket. Keep your active funds on exchanges, medium-term funds on mobile desktop wallets, long-term funds on cold wallets. Again, if this is weird to you, if you think you have a higher chance of losing your money by putting it on a cold wallet than by keeping it on an exchange, probably just keep it on an exchange. They'll be fine. Probably. Coinbase is big. not going anywhere most likely. The more horrified Marie Kondo would be by your backups, the better it is. You should back everything up, keep multiple copies, just keep it strewn everywhere. Don't keep your keys or passwords in a Word file. Just don't do that. If you must keep them in like a text file, encrypt it. Two-factor authentication. If you are not using it, you should Google it and get familiar with 2FA. Super important. A few applications. Low-cost international money transfers. Great. Great for digital nomads. We got to send money abroad. It really works well for skipping the banks and skipping the wait times. The difficulty is like getting it out into fiat in the destination country, and it's not always necessarily that fast. You can do P2P payments to save on processing fees, but it comes with weird tax implications and it's difficult for customers. You can enable better privacy, but it's not that private. Depends on the coin. You can reduce fraud because transactions are final. Nobody can initiate a chargeback on you. But it also enables fraud because it's confusing and non-refundable and people don't understand it, and it's great for just taking people's money. When to use it? You should use it for your business or personal use if you're comfortable with it. You have customers who are comfortable with it. You want to offer more payment options. You want something borderless. If you just think it's neat, go ahead. That's great. Please join the revolution. Don't use it if you're not comfortable with the basic ideas, if you're weirded out by it, if it would make things too complicated. Unless you're a nerd and you like complicated things, go for it. Do not put all of your money into it. And here's the part that you might be interested in if you're a business, which is payment gateways. There are actual businesses out there that specialize in taking your payments from customers, online payments, in-person payments, and sending it to you in whatever currency you want. If you want to receive Bitcoin, cool. If you want to receive crypto, cool. You can actually hook up with these guys and they will give you a solution, plug and play. They have WooCommerce, they have Shopify. If you want to integrate cryptocurrency payments into your website or business, it's not super hard, which is nice. That part is user-friendly. Back to this part. Coinbase Commerce. Coinbase has their own commerce branch now. And a few other things that are interesting. These are the only two I could think of offhand. But has anyone here heard of Brave, Basic or Basic Attention Token? No takers.
That's negative.
Right on. I'll give you a quick tour. So the Brave browser is a privacy ad blocking browser. This is it that I'm using right here. The special thing about it is it comes with some built-in cryptocurrency tools. And what you can do with it is actually, you can register your website to be a member of their Brave Rewards program. Like this is my personal blog right here. It's a WordPress blog. There's a plugin.
Somebody was actually just talking about this the other night.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
Last Wednesday's Let's Talk About, we were talking about sales funnels, and they were talking about this browser that actually like somehow pays you in cryptocurrency or something or another.
It does indeed. Well, it kind of does. Mostly people do.
Yeah.
It's still kind of in the works. It's experimental, but it's easy to set up. It's easy to enroll as a creator. Let's see, that's my plugin section. So here would be an example of what it looks like from a user standpoint. I mostly use Brave for my YouTubing because it blocks Google trackers, which is nice. So it keeps track actually of the YouTube channels that I'm watching. So here it shows me, I like this one, Oversimplified, Real Life Lore, Weeble Stuff, Wall Street Journal, Mark Robert. It knows vaguely the distribution of things that I'm watching. It's not creepy, it's all encrypted, only I can see this. It's private. And you can see this little check mark right here. That means this channel has signed up to get Brave money, Brave cryptocurrency. So every month, I will pay them a little bit of my cryptocurrency instead of seeing ads on their channel, basically. That's ideally how it'll work. It's a little rough around the edges still. From a creator standpoint, because like I signed up to use this. There we go. So I actually just had my wife send me 10 basic attention tokens last night. That's what this is. It's the only money I've made so far because no one is using this channel yet. It's not actually a great way to make money. It's not an ad substitute, but it works. It works great. You just set it up. If someone wants to give you a tip, it's as easy as just going to the website, which is around here somewhere. This bar keeps coming down and blocking my tabs. There it is. Right. So if you want to tip somebody, just click on this little thing right here. You hit send a tip, and it gives you this little menu. Say how much you want to send. There we go. I sent myself 1 basic attention token. So that is one possible application. Definitely not market ready yet. But it's kind of a good example of the various other things people are trying to do with crypto. If you're interested at all in decentralized applications, there's a bunch of those. These are all apps that are being built using cryptocurrency. You have games, you have insurance, you have wallets, exchanges. There's even, who here has heard of CryptoKitties? CryptoKitties? Oh boy. So CryptoKitties was basically, it was a thing where, it is a thing where there are cats, pictures of cats that are connected to the blockchain. You can buy and sell pictures of cats, and they go for, at the height, they went for hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars, people just buying these cartoon cats. You can do a lot of random crap with blockchain is the idea.
That sounds so ridiculous.
If you think that sounds ridiculous, you should explore some of the other depths that blockchain has sunk to. It's amazing.
Just out of curiosity, you know, I can hire somebody to manage my portfolio, my stocks, and all of that. Are there people that actually do that for crypto, or is that an unsafe thing to do?
Oh yeah, there's definitely services out there that do it. I think there's even conventional stocks out there that the stocks hold a portfolio of crypto. You can buy the stock on the real stock market, and the value of the stock will change with the value of the crypto. I think there's at least 1 or 2 crypto index funds. They take a little more tech savvy. The best way to do this kind of thing currently is mostly just buy yourself a bunch of different coins and wait it out. I don't know of any plug and play solution like managed portfolios for crypto yet, but I know they exist, and I'm sure they'll be more popular in the future. Any other questions? That's basically it. That is the end of the presentation. Just the steps. Get a wallet, buy coins, play around, keep them secure, and become a nerd. Once you own cryptocurrency, you're in there.
I've heard that there's some pretty big events coming this year in 2020 for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general. Can you speak to like anything that might be on the horizon?
Oh yeah, so for Bitcoin, you're probably talking about the halving, right?
That's one.
Yeah. So the halving is coming up, which basically is going to reduce the amount that miners get for mining blocks. So there's a monetary incentive to keep the blockchain running, essentially. And sometime in 2020, algorithmically, that's going to change. And there's going to be, let's see, I think it's going to change from 12.5 to 6.25. So essentially, the incentive to mine Bitcoin is going to go down a little bit. It's going to make things a little bit more difficult. Fewer people will want to do it. The supply of new Bitcoins will be cut in half. It's basically reducing inflation. And what is... Specifically, what is the other blockchain Bitcoin thing you're interested in knowing about?
I'm going to ask you to read my mind here. The second one was the Lightning Network improvements.
Oh, Lightning Network. Yeah, that's actually already up and working, which is nice. It's you can enable nodes with Lightning Network right now. It's great. I think it's going to help with scaling a lot, but the problem is it's not being super widely adopted yet. I guess actually, do you know something about Lightning that I don't? Is there going to be some big thing that's going to happen in 2020 with Lightning?
No, I mean, I didn't even know that you could enable it now, so that's news to me.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Am I still sharing my Brave browser?
Yeah.
Perfect. Let's search for Lightning nodes map. There's already people out there that are running Lightning, which is, yeah, you can see it right here. So Lightning nodes, I'll try to explain this super simply. Basically, instead of sending Bitcoin on the main blockchain, like let's say there's 2 people on the blockchain or 4 people on the blockchain, there's A, B, C, and D. Usually it would be like A sends money, B, that transaction goes directly to the blockchain. It's kind of slow. It slows down the whole blockchain. It's expensive. What Lightning does is it opens channels between people, and it enables you to, A and B can send each other money back and forth, like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, whatever. They send it back and forth within their private channel, and only when they're ready, only when they're done transacting, does that final balance get written to the main blockchain, which means the main blockchain has to handle way fewer transactions. It keeps things faster and cheaper. It's awesome. And there's currently 5,000 nodes and 32,000 channels. It might be the thing that helps Bitcoin actually work better in the future. It's not caught on as much as it should yet. I think Georgia doesn't have a Lightning node on the map yet. They do not. If you want to be the first to set that up, please do.
Speaking of Georgia, does Georgia accept any other? I mean, what other? Does Georgia have a local cryptocurrency, or are they pretty much religiously on the Bitcoin? What is a local currency?
Time to Google that. I know there's one, but Golden Fleece token. That's the one.
Golden Fleece. Oh, okay. Do you have anything? Do you have any of that?
I don't know if you can buy it. I feel like maybe you can.
What is it used for then?
I don't know anything about cryptocurrencies, but apparently there's a big mining facility right here in Tbilisi.
Yeah,
there is. Bitfury.
Yeah.
It's a Bitfury Tbilisi. Maybe they have a picture of it. It's basically just a bunch of computers that are guessing random numbers and combinations of things. There it is, right there. They're here for the cheap electricity because it costs a ton. Yep. I think Georgia is number 3 or number 2. It goes between 1 and 3 in the world for Bitcoin mining. I don't know if they use any other currencies very much. I think cryptocurrency in Georgia in general is not super widespread.
I never see people using Bitcoin machines, so.
I tried to use it one time. Man, avoid those Bitcoin ATMs, like the ones you see in the mall. The margin on those things is insane. It's like 20%.
Yeah.
I feel bad because I know a person who works in the company that runs them. They're very nice. They're trying to do good things, but they charge so much.
Well, people are not going to gravitate to Bitcoin because of the fees, so they have to do something about it. What makes the fees so high?
Basically, they got to cover their costs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
They have low transaction volume and expensive machines, and they got to keep all this stuff running.
Have you been to the crypto cafe here in Tbilisi?
Yeah, I have. It's nice.
Yeah. Is
they
it
do
like a
accept
basic
Bitcoin.
coffee? They do. Okay. Is it like is it just a basic coffee shop, or do they have events there regularly, or what? Or can you go there like on any day and talk to anybody about cryptocurrency?
I don't think you'll be guaranteed a crypto conversation just by showing up there.
Okay.
But they did have an event I went to like 2 or 3 weeks ago where we talked cryptocurrency, and it was pretty cool. I think they have the events semi-regularly. twice a month to once a month.
Okay.
What's the name of that group that's running those crypto meetups? Do you know?
Oh yeah, if you're interested in more Tbilisi crypto stuff, let me open up the chat here and I will type the name in. It is Cosmic Crypto Tbilisi. I think they have a group or a page or something. You can find them on Facebook.
I can't remember if they're on Facebook or if it was a meetup.com thing, or I don't remember for sure, but
yeah, as far as I know, it's definitely a Facebook thing. Ah, yes, there it is. I'll send you their exact Facebook link. Just gotta double check that this is the real one. Yeah, that's the one. So they run events. If you're interested in physical meetups, check them out. They're pretty nice. There we go. Any other random questions? All right, fantastic. So this was the crypto talk. It actually went way over time. I thought I was going to be quicker, but I definitely got too ambitious with explaining the technical stuff. So I hope I didn't lose anybody too much on that. I'll put up some links to the stuff I used. If you're interested in those, you can find them in the Facebook group. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Actually, if anybody has any comments, like I know there's at least one guy over there who already knows his cryptocurrency stuff. So if you have any comments or corrections or anything, now would be a great time to chime in. Tell me if I got something wrong.
The comment is that it was still super informative, so thank you very much.
Hey, thanks. Glad to hear it. And if you're interested in any more cryptocurrency stuff, or you got questions, yeah, look me up on Facebook. Let me know. Candy knows how to get in touch with me if you can't find me. So go for that. And that's about it, right?
I am actually trying to copy all of these links and put them into the event right now. So if anybody needed to refer back to any of those. So Andrew, if you don't mind just checking that and seeing if I've missed anything once I actually get it up and posted.
Yeah, not a problem. I will see. Yep, I can see the group, the event. There it is. And I'll also post a bunch of random stuff in there, like the links to the exchanges, to the resources. And just, yeah, final tip with crypto is that it changes all the freaking time. Do your own research. Don't depend on something to stay the same from year to year. Just because something was working one year, it might not be working the next year. So keep an eye out for stuff getting weird in the crypto space. You are definitely your own line of defense here. It is not user-friendly, and there's nobody else who's going to take care of you in the long run. That said, it's cool. It's awesome. It's decentralized. Go for it. Get into it.
I just posted that into the event, so hopefully those resources will be available if you are interested in looking at those a little bit more. Andrew, are you planning on sharing any of this? Is there like a summary slide or anything that might be helpful? Like
That would have been a great idea, but I don't really have a summary slide. Nope. I have a Medium article that covers most of the tech stuff.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't write it. It's somebody else's article, but it's very informative. So I will post that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want you to necessarily post your whole slideshow, but it might be nice if you had a couple of like final like bullet points or something. If you wanted to just put those into a note on the Facebook event, that might be nice.
Yeah, not a problem.
Andrew, are you familiar with 99 Bitcoins?
Yeah, I know them. They're fairly reliable.
Yeah, I get their little things once a week, which is informative, and it's kind of a nice little heads up.
Yeah, good tip. Yeah, there's a few informative news sources out there, and 99 Bitcoins is definitely one of them. It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I also recommend CoinDesk, Blackonomy, Cointelegraph, all pretty informative places to get your Bitcoin news. I do not recommend random people on Twitter.
Mm. Are those three that you just mentioned there ones that you could put in the information place that you're posting?
For sure. Actually, let me put them in the chat as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
CoinDesk, I think they're all .coms, but if they're not, I will find out. Full disclosure, I do occasionally write articles for blockonomy.com, so they're slight bias there. I think they're pretty good. Any other questions, comments, wrap-ups? Great. It feels a little weird just to sign off, but that's virtual meetings for you, isn't it?
Yeah, Andrew, thank you again so much for being willing to share the information that you have. As many of you know, one of my goals is to teach all of you that everyone has something to share, no matter how small or how big, or whether you're an expert or not. There are those of us that don't know as much as you. So I appreciate you joining us and sharing your information with us. And if there are more in-depth or breakaway points that you guys as attendees would like to see covered a little bit more or a little more in depth, let me know. I can always look and see if I can source somebody to help us all understand that information. And on the flip side of that, if you have knowledge on a topic that you would like to share, please reach out to me. I'd love to involve you in the community and let you have a platform to share your knowledge. And again, you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be 100% on everything. Just, you know, there's always going to be someone that learns something from the information and knowledge that you have. So having said that, we do have a happy hour tonight. So feel free to grab a drink.
What time is the happy hour?
It's at 8 o'clock. We're going to go virtual again. There's a link in the local DC group event. So click on the link and join us with your beverage of choice: coffee, tea, beer, wine, cha-cha. There's no judgment there. So thanks again, Andrew, and thanks everybody for attending.
Thanks, Andrew.
Okay, thank you. See you guys.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
I'll see you guys later.
Okay.
Cheers.
Thank you all. Bye for now.
Bye for now.